Well, the next scene, June is packing up Nick Jr. for her trip to see Luke. And Twello is there. June is wearing handmade red. All is right with the world, apparently. What is up with that coat choice?
Yeah, I mean, why a long red cloak? And I mean, she looks good in it. So
She
there's
Yeah,
does
that.
look good in
that's her
it.
color.
I think that she might be wearing the red coat and presumably choosing this red coat the same way that she still has the ear tag, because I'm pretty sure she still has the ear tag in this scene. And I'm assuming she could get it removed if she wanted to, but by having that physical outward representation of the trauma and the experiences in which she's endured and survived, it's almost like that scar on the outside that she has on the inside that is so internal no one can see it, obviously. And wearing a little bit of that on the outside as a badge of honor and of just showing who she is and where she's come from at this point. Just owning it a little bit, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
That does make sense. I like that interpretation of it as well because all that I could think of was um, going to Nick and going to meet him was going to be in some way revisiting herself in Gilead, and she identifies herself in Gilead as a handmaid, and so I felt like it was sort of her like almost like slipping into like her school colors before going back to her alma mater in a very dilapidated way.
Wow. That is appropriate considering they did eventually meet up in an academy of some
Yeah.
sorts.
Didn't intend it like that. How about that?
When they were parting ways, I feel like Luke was very worried. Do you get I don't know. I felt like maybe he was wondering that this was going to be the last time that he was going to see either of them. You know, he went back to say goodbye to Nicole, too. And I just wonder if he was just afraid to let them out of his sight again, especially given the circumstances.
I agree. Because June is still coming from. First off, like June is public enemy number one as far as Gilead is concerned. So putting her that close to the border, within like speaking distance of a commander and one who they know is like, or the one who June knows is in control of the eyes, puts her and Nicole into an extremely dangerous situation. But moreover, Luke also understands that June is going through trauma and is, of course, still going to have some emotional attachment to Nick. So there is the potential of June being being kidnapped, but there's also the potential of her choosing to go back with Nick, because like perhaps like some deep seated psychoses of a survivor's brain, like you go back to the trauma that you know,
Or that she just really loves him,
or that.
Like, but I do think that he's worried of all those things because that's definitely what I was worried about with that situation. As he's saying goodbye, I'm like, there's just so many ways that this could go wrong. Whether it's on June's own accord of she's unhappy and decides she wants to try to run away with Nick to off, like whatever Luke is worried about, it's just very clear that he's worried because June is eventually like, I need you to stop worrying. And he's like, I can't do that. But like, yeah, his nervous energy is off the charts and it's sweet. Like he packed Nicole lunch and snacks and he sliced her peaches and he's just worried. He's worried about all of it. And he's really just, as much as he's worried, he knows that this is his only opportunity to maybe find out some information on Hannah. And we know that that's everything he's ever been waiting for these last X amount of years while he's been in Canada. And now he has an opportunity. So he's taking it, but it's scary.
Of course. And you see that acknowledgement on his face, like when he is saying goodbye to Nicole too, like he waves bye to her, and then like turns, and his face visibly drops as he's turning away from the vehicle. And as June's pulling away, like you almost get this feeling that like his concerns are valid because she smiles for the first time, like a genuine smile, because she's excited to go see Nick. Presumably, would be the excitement.
Yeah, I think it was that, and she gets to drive. Like it made me feel good just to watch her drive. Watching a woman drive in this show, it's always a big moment. Like we saw it with Serena, we've seen it with Emily, and now we're seeing it with June. Of this is her in Canada choosing to go see Nick. She's not being forced to see him. She's not only seeing him when there's an opportunity or when he can arrange it. This is her. She arranged this. She's driving herself to go see him. It's this agency that we haven't seen her have. And I think she's also apprehensive and looking forward to the reunion. I think she kind of goes through both of it. As I think she's excited here, and then I think as she gets closer, it does feel ominous, and I think it's because she's worried about how she's going to be perceived as she goes and asks for another favor. But also she wants to see him, but she doesn't know what kind of Nick she's going to get and where he's going to be at.
I like that you said that the scene that we're coming up on is ominous, because the second that they started showing the winding road with Twello behind her made me feel very panicky, because like, especially when they pull up in front of that house, and I instantly had Gilead vibes. Like, the road trip reminded me of when Serena and Fred got captured by Twello. Then pulling up in front of the house and that aerial view, it just reminded me of the lake house that June saw Hannah at and had Nicole at. And even as she's walking, when she gets out of the car and she's walking, you could tell that there's like this look on her face, like she's trying to gauge what's going on, and she feels like there's something wrong. And I was like, oh my God, I was right. There is something wrong. Oh my God, June turned back. And then it ended up being completely normal and chill and okay. Nick was there.
She also had every right to be scared, though, because it was also like those same sort of visuals as the last time that June saw Hannah at this isolated house in the middle of the woods, and it's snowing out, and like the setup is so very much the same that one has to imagine that there is that bit of association for her there as well.
Yeah, I think it's a good reminder as we go through all those emotions of, and then in the end, everything's fine. It's because that's what her day-to-day life is right now. Everything feels really dramatic and ominous, intense, anytime anything even mirrors it. And then it turns out fine, because most of the time it's going to be fine, but she's still going to be in that ominous, panicky feeling. And that's what came across to the viewer so well, I think.
Very much agree. Yeah, absolutely agree. Once she realizes that everything's going to be fine, though, it also happens to coincide with when we hear Nick say her name. And her face softens. And she smiles. She turns around and they're slowly walking towards each other, and you get that playful, adorable banter, the same sort of banter that we used to get with Luke when they were in their courting stage. But like, Freedom agrees with you is like, it's a wonderful acknowledgement of that she is no longer under the Gilead infrastructure. I think it's just everything about this is gorgeous.
I'm hanging in there.
Bad choice of words.
And that's the thing that I love, that because that's how their first ever conversation went in the first episode of season 1, when she's going to the grocery store and he tells her what she shouldn't get. And first, if it's like a health reason, and then second, he's like, don't get the tuna. And she's like, mercury? And he's like, no, I just don't like tuna. And it's like rocks her world to have that kind of interaction. Like, it was that first sign of like, maybe he's, not an eye. Maybe he is an eye. And it's always, obviously the intrigue and the blurred lines that Nick has always represented have always been there, but just having that little moment of levity break the ice, and it kind of let them both put their guard down, or at least let me put my guard down, because I was still worried about how this was going to go exactly. And then that shot, first of all, that shot where she's got the stroller, I mean, that's in the trailer, right? Did we not realize there was a stroller there?
Oh, I didn't watch the trailer.
The trailer we did a breakdown on.
The very first trailer.
Yeah,
I don't remember the stroller.
I'm pretty sure.
I don't think this was in the season 4
I feel like
trailer.
there was spots of the two of them, and it was this farm. Was it the other farm? It wasn't when she got caught. I'll have to look at it. But I was like, damn, I hope it's not, because I'm like, I really can't believe we missed the fact that there's a stroller right there. I swear in my mind it was just two silhouettes of June and Nick. But anyway. But the sun coming down was so beautiful as he goes and looks at his daughter. Like, that killed me when they showed that again. It's like it was my cue. Aside from the music, that light gave me a cue of like, this is okay for a moment. I can let my guard down too, and just let him get reunited with her. And then he says exactly what I was thinking. She's a whole different person. And it was an interesting choice of words, considering we've been talking about how now that June's back in Canada, she's pretty much a whole different person. And it's almost like Nick's the only person that can see that she's not different. To everyone else, she's different, but to Nick, everything feels the same. This is, again, it's her reprieve from her life. And whether it's Gilead or Canada, it seems like he still can be that reprieve from her because he knows who she is right now in this moment the most. And he proves it when he walks in and already knows exactly why he's there.
Right. That's a good point.